Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans. And we have an interesting video coming out today as Ontaria Wilson of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers signs with the New York Jets of the NFL. So this is going to be for both CFL and NFL audiences. And especially for New York Jets fans, any NFL fans tuning into this is going to be kind of a little bit of what you're getting with Ontario Wilson, as me and Rick are very much watchers of the Canadian Football League, CFL, up here in Canada. Rick, how you feeling?
So just think about this, okay?
Okay.
Put yourself in Wilson's shoes.
Okay.
You have Aaron Rodgers thrown to you.
That's nice.
Then you also have, just looking at their roster, Devontae Adams, who used to play for the Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
With Rodgers on the team. It's just like now I don't know what Rodgers' contract is, but let me just pull up.
Yeah. So for NFL audiences, we are by no means experts on the NFL. We are definitely more CFL oriented. But I think one thing that for those who are wondering in the NFL, Ontario, if you guys remember Chris Streveler, who came up and I had a bit of a fun time with the New York Jets in the preseason, and I know myself and a lot of people back in Winnipeg. So he came from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Ontario Wilson is from the exact same team and will be coming up to the Jets. And so there's maybe a little bit of that connection there. I know some Jets fans in New York were a little bit upset with Streveler not getting a little bit more of a chance up there. As a Bomber fan, I was hoping that he'd get a bit more of a chance. I'm glad to have him back in Winnipeg. Chris Streveler is back on the Bombers. But it was one of those things where I kind of understood that this is not my area of expertise by any means. But Ontario Wilson comes in. This was his first year in the CFL. He comes in as a rookie, and my goodness, what a rookie he was. In 18 games played, he had 105 targets. He got 71 receptions on that, 1,026 receiving yards, and got an extra 298 yards after catch, 3 touchdowns, an average of 14.5 yards per pass. Key thing to note, of course, with this being Canadian Football League, only 3 downs, so less opportunities. So it shows just how much the Bombers liked using him, with his longest being 55 yards. And he actually, I believe, set a franchise record in Winnipeg, which is a very, very big deal considering Winnipeg is a franchise that is almost 100 years old, established in 1930. For the most, I think it was the most catches in a game or something. Like he got by a Bomber receiver, just for an individual receiver. I think he had 18 catches in one game or something. It's funny that you mentioned that, because it still burns me that Bridges for the Ticats could not get that record because of injuries. Yeah, no, it's
now that you had that record.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, so you mentioned 3 downs.
Yep.
Their fields aren't as long.
Yep. And they're also not as wide. So it'll be a little bit of a different
but keep in mind, he was only signed to a reserve and futures contract.
Yeah.
Which means absolutely nothing. It just means, we signed you to a contract. You're coming to camp.
I will say
another
thing that is worth noting, that this is not a situation where like for example in Canada, if you grew up playing football, you're growing up playing on a Canadian-sized field, that 110 yards, 20-yard end zones, and a much, much wider field than in the NFL. This is a guy that grew up in Ashburn, Georgia, went to school in Florida State University, And so this is an American receiver through and through. So he'll, as much as he was able to do very, very well in the Canadian system, like a lot of Americans can, not all of them, not all Canadians either, though. He was able to adjust very, very well. And I think a receiver coming from the CFL has a little bit of an advantage that the XFL and USFL doesn't, in the sense of that he's now being exposed to a new factor of the game, a new side of it with the waggle and all that sort of stuff. For American audiences wondering what the waggle is, it is more movement before the snap where the receivers can rush towards the line of scrimmage before the ball has been snapped. They do not need to be standing still. But I think with this, you're gaining a very, very dynamic receiver. He's done very, very well in both the deep ball slot in Winnipeg, as well as some of the medium and shorter passes. So I think he's very dynamic. However, his strong suit is definitely in the longer passes or medium length passes. Short, if you're looking for a short pass receiver, my guess is that won't be the kind of receiver that he is. Now, again, it also depends on the coaching staff and how they decide to use him. Mike O'Shea of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers used him as that medium to long range receiver. I'll be curious to see how the New York Jets, if he is able to make the team, how exactly he is utilized. So just kind of letting Jets fans know exactly what kind of guy they are to expect here in Ontario Wilson.
So the question I have for you is, being a Bombers fan.
Yep.
If you're Wilson, let's say, okay, they see you as like a 6th, 7th wide receiver.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable making, I think they make 6 figures, if not 5-6 figures on the practice roster?
Yeah. No,
would you go back to the CFL and get starting playing time?
I think realistically a lot of guys would be very tempted, even on that practice roster, to be on it, because the thing is that this is not a situation like some other leagues where if you're like, the thing is, you have to realize is that a starter in the CFL will do will do well financially, and he will be able to, if he is a higher player on the team, he might be able to live off that for the rest of his life. He might be able to, with, sponsorships, with other stuff, other work that he might be doing. But you won't have to necessarily go and get an education and get a new job. With a few years in the NFL, with the kind of money that I think they're throwing at you, unless I'm wrong here, that can change your life. And so I have no blame for players who want to get a little bit of that financial security.
So here's the thing. So I know Ontario Wilson was a wide receiver. I'm going to use one of our former Ticat players as an example. So Nikita Kalinick.
Yeah,
probably.
By the way, I'm just gonna interject here. I just searched something up. The yearly salary, this is in U.S. dollars, for an NFL practice squad player ranges on the low end of $225,000 American to $383,000 American dollars. This is opposed to a higher end CFL deal would be $200,000 Canadian with Canadian taxes as well. That is an important thing to keep in mind. So NFL practice squad, even on the low end, is definitely higher than CFL money. So
anyways, what I was trying to get at is, so he played for us from 19 to 21. Keep in mind, he's a tight end, so tight end receivers, different height, weight, size, and everything. He spent 22 with the Colts, 23 and current with the Rams, and he's only played 7 games in 2 years. So even if he stays in the NFL, there's nothing that guarantees him.
Who are you talking about right now?
Nikola Kalinick. He played for us from 19 to 21. He was a tight end for us. And now he's done in the NFL. Like, just because you're signed to your practice rods, like, here's another example. Okay, I know Nathan Rourke was a quarterback, and it's different than wide receivers. But look how many teams he bounced around before he came
This is
back.
true.
Like there's
Yeah,
like
it's
all
funny.
I'm
You
trying
get
to
different
say.
situations as you'll get that, but then even Chris Streveler, he was with the Cardinals, then he was with the Ravens, then he ended up with the New York Jets. But then you'll get situations where like a DeAndre Alford goes to Atlanta, and he just stays there, and
Yeah,
is able to succeed and do well. And then you might get situations of a guy goes up, kind of gets one opportunity, does a bit with it and then gets sent back down. That'd be like a Drew Desjardins. Goes up to the New England Patriots before being sent down back to the CFL, where he now is doing an excellent job, actually, as an offensive lineman over on the Ottawa Red Blacks. But
and keep in mind there's two different style playbooks too
yeah, so. But
between the
all in
Bombers and
all,
Jets.
I think, what would you say, Rick, to New York Jets fans that ask, what kind of player are we getting here?
What I would honestly say, my honest opinion,
Mm-hmm.
is if you want to know what type of player you're getting, go on to YouTube and look up his highlight reel from this year.
Yeah, I think that
That's
was.
the best thing.
I think that's the best way to do it. But yeah, you'll see that he's definitely a medium to deep ball receiver, and that he was able to make some pretty flashy looking catches, and overall was very good as a young talent. And I'm curious to see how well he would be able to do in the NFL. He's only 25 years old, so only time will tell. I think that's all I got. Is there anything else you got there, Rick?
He's a young pup. There's still lots of time for him to decide what he wants to do.
That is true. Anything else?
That is it for me, my friends.
Fair enough. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you have not already. Also, thank you to all of our viewers on Spotify. If you guys can drop us 5 stars, we would really, really appreciate that. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.